For nearly 1,000 years, kings, knights, explorers, and archaeologists have searched for a single object. It has been said to grant divine wisdom, heal the wounded, reveal God's presence, or even offer eternal life. Some believe it still exists. Others argue it never existed at all. Its name is known around the world, the Holy Grail. But what exactly is the Grail? Was it a real cup used at the Last Supper? A sacred relic hidden away for centuries? Or was it simply a story that grew into one of history's greatest legends? To answer that, we have to begin in 1st century Jerusalem. According to the New Testament, on the night before his crucifixion, Jesus gathered with his disciples for what became known as the Last Supper. During the meal, he shared bread and wine, establishing a ritual that would become central to Christianity. The Gospels describe Jesus taking a cup of wine and telling his followers to drink from it, but they never suggest that the cup itself possessed miraculous powers. In fact, the Bible never uses the phrase Holy Grail. It never instructs anyone to preserve the cup, and it never claims the vessel became a sacred relic. For the earliest Christians, the importance was not the cup itself, it was what the cup represented. Centuries passed. Christianity spread across the Roman Empire. Churches collected relics connected to saints, martyrs, and biblical events, fragments of the true cross, bones of apostles, and objects associated with Jesus became treasured throughout Europe. Yet despite this growing fascination with relics, there was still no widely known legend about a sacred cup from the Last Supper. Then, around the year 1180, everything changed. A French poet named Chrétien de Troyes began writing a romance called Percival, or The Story of the Grail. It introduced readers to a mysterious object carried through the castle of the Fisher King. Remarkably, Chrétien never called it holy. He never identified it as the cup used by Jesus. In fact, his grail wasn't even clearly described as a cup. It was simply a magnificent serving vessel whose true meaning remained unexplained. The story ended before Chrétien could finish it. Whether he died, abandoned the work, or intended to continue later, no one knows. But readers were captivated. Other writers quickly began creating their own continuations. With each new version, the mystery grew. The Grail became more powerful, more sacred, and more closely connected to Christian tradition. By the early 13th century, the legend had transformed completely. The Grail was no longer just a mysterious object in a medieval romance. It had become the very cup used by Jesus at the Last Supper. Some stories claimed Joseph of Arimathea later used it to collect Christ's blood during the crucifixion before carrying the relic westward. Others placed it in Britain, where it became the object of an impossible quest. At the centre of these new stories stood another legendary figure, King Arthur. His court at Camelot became home to the Knights of the Round Table, the greatest warriors in Britain. Among them, one knight would prove pure enough to seek the Grail itself, Sir Galahad. From that moment forward, the Holy Grail was no longer simply a relic. It became the ultimate symbol of faith, purity, and the search for something beyond human understanding. But if the Grail legend evolved over centuries, where did the real story end and the myth begin? To answer that, we have to follow the evidence. For centuries, the search for the Holy Grail spread far beyond the pages of medieval literature. Knights, pilgrims, monks, and later historians and archaeologists all wondered the same thing. Could the Grail still exist? One theory points to the Knights Templar, Founded in Jerusalem in 1119, the Templars became one of the most powerful military and religious orders of the Middle Ages. Over time, legends claimed they had uncovered extraordinary treasures beneath the Temple Mount. Some stories said they discovered the Ark of the Covenant. Others claimed they found the Holy Grail itself. The problem is that no contemporary Templar records mention possessing the Grail. The connection appeared centuries after the order had already fallen. Today, most historians consider the Templar Grail story a later legend rather than documented history. If the Templars never possessed the Grail, could another relic be the real cup? Several churches across Europe claim to preserve vessels associated with the Last Supper. The most famous is the Holy Chalice of Valencia in Spain. The upper bowl is a polished agate cup dating to roughly the 1st century BC or 1st century AD. Its age makes it old enough to have existed during the lifetime of Jesus, but age alone proves nothing. There is no continuous historical record connecting the chalice to Jerusalem in the 1st century. Its journey can only be traced many centuries later. Other claimed grails exist in Genoa, Lyon, Antioch, and several smaller churches throughout Europe. Some are made from precious stone, others from glass, gold, or carved wood. Each has its own tradition. None can be conclusively linked to the Last Supper. Modern archaeology has reached a cautious conclusion. There is no verified historical evidence identifying any surviving cup as the Holy Grail. Nor is there evidence that the original cup, if it survived at all, would have been recognized among countless ordinary drinking vessels used throughout Judea. Yet, the Grail refuses to disappear, not because of archaeology, but because of what it represents. In medieval literature, the Grail became a reward for humility rather than power. It could not be taken by force. It could only be found through wisdom, faith, and personal transformation. That idea has inspired storytellers for centuries, from medieval manuscripts to Renaissance paintings, to modern novels, films, television, and video games. The Holy Grail has become one of history's most enduring symbols. Perhaps the greatest mystery was never the location of the cup itself. Perhaps it was why so many generations believed the search was worth undertaking. History may never reveal whether the Holy Grail truly existed. The historical record grows silent long before the legend begins, but the legend itself has become part of history. A story powerful enough to outlive kingdoms, outlast empires, and inspire nearly 1,000 years of exploration, whether it rests in a cathedral, a forgotten monastery, or nowhere at all. The Holy Grail remains one of history's greatest and most enduring mysteries. Join our quest for answers by subscribing to our channel. If you enjoyed unraveling the mystery in this video, please click the like button. Most of all, thank you for watching.